coaches are in. When you need a timely, transparent friend, tune into the coaches are in. Talking career, business, health, and wealth. You got a friend now. Into the coaches are in. With authenticity, come on, let's take a seat and tune in.
Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everyone.
Hello. Uh-oh. Is
Oh, it
Allison
looks like
frozen?
Allison. Oh, okay. I'm sure she'll
Figure it out.
Yeah, she'll be here. So hello on her behalf.
Yes.
Welcome to the Coaches Are In. And tonight we are talking about what happens after the fire, after the trauma, the loss, the heartbreak, and what does it look like to rise when the smoke clears. So we're excited about this episode, and our guest will be joining us shortly. But first, we want to make sure you know who we are. And we are the Coaches Are In. I'm Dr. Sharita Weatherspoon, business alignment strategist and the creator of the Coaches Are In. And what I do is primarily work with Black women, where I help you to align your offers and your operations to fit your lifestyle so you can build a business that you love and that serves you well.
And I am Dr. Malika Turner, and I'm your confidence coach, and I help provide you with the tools so that you can walk. She's back. Okay, I know who I am. Hold on, but I'm just happy she's back. Okay. I'm your confidence coach, and I provide you with the tools to help you to show up as your best self and to walk in your confident self.
Yes, and you were confident that I was coming back, wasn't you?
I was like, she coming.
And I'm Allison Garrett. I'm your behavioral interventionist, and I work with women who struggle with identifying what has them stuck, and I help them break free without years of therapy.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies. And now we want to introduce our guest for this evening, Tenita Bestseller Johnson, who is the author of 25 books, publishing powerhouse and unapologetic truth teller who turned her deepest pain into a platform that empowers thousands. She's here to share how writing, resilience, and radical truth telling can transform not just your life, but your legacy. Welcome, Tenita.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. Hey, y'all.
Hey.
All right, so let's jump right in. So you have a book and a stage play, I believe, called When the Smoke Clears. And that is such a powerful metaphor. And I want to know, like, I'm sure it meant something like at the time that you wrote the book and you got the stage play done. But now when you're looking back over all of the fire that you've been through, what does that phrase, when the smoke clears, mean to you now?
Yeah, so the subtitle for it is, well, When the Smoke Clears is the main title. And then when we did the stage play, we dropped the subtitle. The subtitle is actually A Phoenix Rises. And if you know anything about the mythology of a phoenix, it's a bird that is only birthed out of fire. So that's the whole premise of the book. The book actually starts with the loss of twins. Me and my husband lost twins the day after we got married, just from the stress and the strain of all the things we were going through on the wedding day. I'm like, my stomach, maybe it was the food we ate at the reception. Like, no. So the next day we're in the hospital. There was no honeymoon phase. And a lot of people think that we gave birth to stillbirths. We did not. I was 5.5 months pregnant. I had to birth both babies. They came out breathing. But the doctors told us that their quality of life would be little if they survived. So we had a choice to make at that point. You know, do we let them naturally pass, or do we try to put them in the incubator? And literally, like, the bodies are formed, but I don't even think the eyes were fully formed at 5.5 months. So, I mean, we had a long way to go. So we lost one twin, Faith. We lost her the day after the wedding. We lost Jeremiah maybe 3 weeks later, because generally they tell you when you have twins, if you lose one, that it kind of makes room for the next one to grow. once one is out. But Jeremiah didn't make it either. So yeah. So
Yeah.
that's the start of the book. I kind of take readers on a roller coaster of, blended family woes, marital woes, suicidal thoughts, depression, job loss. I mean, we went through all of this in like the first 10 years of our marriage, and we're getting ready to be married 22 years. But the first 10 were like, hell, it was all fire. Like, I don't I remember very little good times. Like, so yeah. So that's the premise of The Fire. And of course, it took me a while to write the book because it hadn't come full circle yet. So we lost the twins. There was Faith and Jeremiah. We lost a boy and a girl. The following year, I gave birth to Xavier, who in a couple of weeks he'll be 21. And then we had Nyla, who is 8 years apart from him. So I was like working on this book for probably 4 or 5 years because I just knew it wasn't complete. So the book starts with the loss of the twins and it ends with me finding out that I'm pregnant with our baby girl, who's the baby and spoiled as ever. So yeah. Because when we had Jeremiah and Faith, we were like, oh, we're done. We got twins, like we good. And it's a boy and a girl, we are done. So yeah.
Yeah. So let me say before we go to the next question is that congratulations on making it to where you are, you and your husband. Because a lot of times, trauma can actually destroy a marriage because you're both grieving in your own ways and sometimes can lose that connection.
It really tried to tear us apart. And I know this is more common than not just miscarriages, but stillbirths. In between the twins, in between Xavier and Nyla being born, I lost 2 other babies, but that was like at 8 weeks. So they were just considered, general miscarriages. So we lost a total of 4 children. And what I would say is, because I'm asking God, why would you, at the time I was raising my stepson, who's now 28. I would say, God, why would you take my kids when I'm raising another woman's kids? Let's just be real. My stepson lived with us. So it wasn't like he was going back and forth on the weekend. His mother lived in another state and we had him full time. So I'm asking God, why would you take my babies, but I'm raising another woman's son that, basically had sex with my husband? You know what I'm saying? So it was just, as I matured, I understand why God did it, because later down the line, I share in the book also, my stepson, who's 28, he lost his biological mother at 12. I think he was 12 years old. And so he saw her at 10 when she got married. And when she got married, she was diagnosed with cancer. 2 years later, she was dead. Wow. So at that point, it was full circle. Like, God knew, I put you in his life because his mother's going to die when he's 12. Like, and we don't know when we're in situations where we're in situations, we're just mad. We just angry, Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. This is hitting me. I'm just so inspired by the story, but your story is layered with so much grief and breakthrough. What was one of the hardest moments that you thought you wouldn't survive, and what got you through it?
So besides the loss of the twins, and my husband knows because we share this now in marriage ministry, at year 10, I actually stepped outside of the marriage and had an affair, a one-night stand. And I feel like it was the combination, because people will say, oh, it just happened. Like, it didn't just happen. It's a choice. But you got to understand, over the course of 10 years, we were picking off little by little, bit by bit. Like, my heart was just breaking over time. And it was just kind of like, you know what? I don't have anything to lose. And I'll never forget, I clearly heard God say, ironically, in the year that we in with all this exposure, I clearly heard God say, you better tell him before I do. And if he finds out later, it's going to be that much worse. So you need to tell him. So y'all know I held it for about 7 days. And if you look on my social media, you see how big my husband is and how little I am. So I'm like, Lord, I'm not telling him about myself. And so I took my counselor. At the time we were in marital counseling, and I took I told him I stepped outside the marriage. But what I didn't know was the night I had the affair, God had already given him a dream that I had the affair. In addition to that, God had already told him, whatever she has to tell you, this is going to be the foundation for your marriage ministry. So now today, because he chose to stay, because he very well could have left. And he did. He packed up the house and said he was leaving. And the Lord was like, no, stay. I need you to stay and cover her and heal her. And I've forgiven you for more. And, him and God are having a conversation I'm not privy to,
Wow.
So that was probably, next to the twins, that was probably one of the roughest seasons of my life. Because I felt like I didn't just let him down. I didn't just let my children down. I let every mentor, every person who had poured into us, every family member. I mean, I called his mom, his dad, his sister. I called everybody and apologized. Like it was a big deal. The guilt was heavy. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a lot. I could see why that would be heavy. You pretty much walked through everything, right? Stillbirth, depression, the dealings with the blended family, you just described an affair. How did those experiences shape the message that you carry today?
Yeah, so again, a lot of times when I speak, I do a workshop or a talk called When the Smoke Clears, a Phoenix Rises, and telling people, basically nothing happens by accident. Now, when we're in it, we're not thinking that because we like, what in the whole hell is going on? But again, looking back on it, it shaped me into who I am. It shaped me into the person I am today. It gave me the confidence. It gave me the boldness to stand firm in who I am today. I was a girl who was very depressed, thought I was ugly, was suicidal, wanted to take my life multiple times in life, not just once. So, I mean, all of those things helped build the confidence, but also it built my faith. And Dr. Sharita knows, because we kick it all the time about entrepreneurship and publishing. Like, it's a daily walk. So you don't know where the next client is coming. You don't know where the next client is coming from. You don't know what they're going to need. You're not even going to know if you want to do business with them. Let's be honest. Just because you have the money doesn't mean you want to do business with them. Right. So those situations kind of prep me for full-time entrepreneurship, because even going from corporate America to full-time entrepreneurship, it was a death. It was a transition that was a heavy hit to my mindset of, okay, I got to think differently. Nobody's going to tell me to get up in the morning and what to do, Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, that's a good segue into this next question. How did you go from kind of like just surviving and living in that survival mode to being and operating as a CEO?
Yeah, so I've always been a writer. That's been my outlet. And I set a goal of writing a book. I published my first book in 2010. And ironically, y'all won't believe this, it was literally every day. I think I was unemployed for about 3 years. Like, I was literally sitting at home, could not get a job, bachelor's degree and everything. Like, just could not. This is right after the housing market crash and all that. And I remember just sending probably 3 or 4 friends an encouraging email every day. And little did I know, a friend of mine was keeping them, and she got to like 72 and sent them back to me like, you should put these in a book. And I'm like, what? So literally the first book is 100 words of encouragement. That's all it is. And they were over the course of 100 days. But from there, that gave me the courage and that gave me the boldness to keep writing. And then When the Smoke Clears actually came out in 2014, but in 2014, I released 2 other books as well. So I released 3 books in 2014. So by 2014, I had 4 books. So
nice.
It just kept going. And the person who published my first book, she was bold enough to say, sis, I'm not going to take your money. I'm going to train you how to do it yourself. And once I did it enough for myself, then I started doing it for others. But there's a confidence curve. There's a confidence curve. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a confidence curve. That's an interesting term.
Yes.
Yeah. You've helped hundreds of folks write their story. Why do you think that is so healing? Like, storytelling is so healing for us as Black women?
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, the act of writing, period, not typing, but physically writing, psychologically, there's something to it, that there's a level of healing from just pen and paper. But for us, not only does it give voice to us, but for me, it's legacy. A lot of things that I write about, they're taboo. So I'm writing about overcoming sexual abuse. I'm writing about overcoming suicidal thoughts, depression. I'm writing about me and my husband getting over the affair. I'm writing.
Don't forget the one. Don't forget the one.
Which one? Dr. Sheree?
She writing about masturbation.
The last one. Yes. Thank you. I'm like, which one? It's
confidence.
Yeah. I'm right. And ladies, trust me.
Yes, what is going on today?
Yes,
this is a powerful story. I think
Dr. Alice,
the wires are crossing because they're trying not to let it be heard.
Yes. So, Dr. Allison, I'm not just writing about masturbation, but I was.
They'll be back shortly, right?
Can you all hear me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I was addicted to porn and masturbation and almost lost my marriage over it. And you hear about men being addicted to porn and masturbation. You do not hear women talking about being addicted to porn and masturbation and almost losing their marriage. So the book is specifically for Christian women who are in the church and married, but probably addicted to porn. And it's a real audience. So, it may bless the single people, but I didn't write it for them. But again, when people see it on the table, nobody wants to buy it because they like, I can't really walk around with the book like in my hand.
That's so good though. I was at a retreat. Side note, I was at a retreat and one of the speakers who was married and had been married for a long time, had I think 4 children, and admitted to being addicted to porn. And her husband was a pastor. And I remember thinking like,
oh, it's because he's a pastor that she's probably addicted because he ain't got the time to lay down nothing.
The why but that's just so good because many women do not admit that is an issue, but it is an issue.
It's an issue, and to the point where I had to realize, number one, to some extent, I'm prostituting myself. Like, really, God speaks to me in ways that are like real and raw. So he's like, "Are you a prostitute?" I'm like, "What? You're not gonna keep talking to me like this." Like, but also that my body is not my own. So if I'm single, my body belongs to God. If I'm married, my body belongs to my spouse. So my body, either way, my body is not my own. It's submitted to somebody else, or it's submitted for the master's use. So it's almost like having sex with somebody else's body. And that's the way I had to look at it. And then when I learned it was tied to human trafficking, that's when it kind of shut the door for me, that it is very highly tied to human trafficking. So we assume when we watch porn that everybody is just doing it out of their own will, where it may be a guy with a gun behind the camera that you can't see. She's got to act like she enjoys it, or a lot of times it's underage children, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds. They may look like adults, but they're kids.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but porn is a $1 billion industry. So as long as we have people watching it, you can't shut it down, right?
Yeah. So let me tell you where you might find some people who won't mind picking up your book. So, periodically on Facebook, maybe on Instagram, probably just Facebook, maybe Twitter, you get these threads where somebody asks a question that somehow has something to do with this thing called the rose. And then all of the women in the comments.
I had a bullet. I don't know what the rose is.
Who are like, I don't need a man if I got this.
Right. See,
get you one.
Look
for those posts and just go in and drop the link to your book after every comment.
Yeah. Well, and actually, Dr. Sharita, I'm gonna be honest with you. Those are the people who don't want to be healed. They don't want to be free. And some of those women may not be married, so to them, they don't have anything to lose. So
actually, most of them are in relationships based on the comments.
Yeah. I mean,
wow.
Yeah. So that's my latest book. I'm working on book number 26, which will be out this fall, which is called Prayers from the Valley, which was just 30 days of me and God going back and forth when I was in a dark place, particularly in my business, and this prayers for the valley season for people. So yeah. Yeah.
Very nice.
And when the smoke clears will be a feature film. We just finished the script.
Awesome.
For a full movie. So hopefully this time next year we'll be producing the movie, doing the red carpet and all of that. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Very nice.
Yeah, that makes me think, like, what does it mean to get paid for the pain, right?
Over and over again.
It sounds very radical, you know. When you hear that, it's like, what? Get paid for the pain, but why is it necessary for us to create that reframe?
I think for me, it's okay, how can I take every negative in my life and turn it into a positive? So even for me, where I'm 46, I've never met my biological father. And last year I asked God, I said, before I turn 45, let me find him. So I believe I found him, but he would not take a DNA test. So I had to stop at that point, because there's a reason why I can't go past this point, because I keep searching, and there's nothing revealed. And we think it's going to end in happily ever after, and it may not. So yeah. So so I wrote a story. Well, I wrote two stories. In a friend of mine in Cincinnati, she's a publisher as well. She did an anthology called From Fatherless to Fearless. And then it was From Fatherless to Fearless, Married to a New Way, and how being fatherless affected us in our marriage. Because people say you either marry who your father was, or you marry who you wanted your father to be. So I didn't know my father, so I married who I wanted my father. My husband is the husband that's like, if we split, I'm taking the kids. I'm like, thank you. Don't take all the kids. Don't listen. Take the girl too. I will pay you child support. I ain't got nothing to say. I will pay you child support. I will do what we can. But I married who I needed my father to be. And I know he loves his kids. He rides for his kids. He's always there. Yeah. So I think it's important to reframe it, because if you can use it as fuel, it's all the more greater. And what I'm seeing a lot of times, particularly as we go into this election season, like in Detroit, is what people do is they try and go back to your past and dig up dirt. And for me, I'm like, it's already in the book. So by the time I get to the White House, like you already know, porn,
there.
You already know suicidal thoughts, depression, affair. We did it all. What else do you need to know? It's all in the book somewhere.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, I think it's so important that you tell your story. I think it's important for every woman, specifically Black women, to tell their story, to tell the story, and to be in control. If you talk about micromanaging, listen, I'm a micromanage. It's good for me to micromanage telling my story.
My story. Yeah. And I don't want anybody to tell it wrong.
Exactly.
Or tell it and leave something out, or leave out pivotal pieces, because I'm the one that walked the journey. So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Dr. Malika, full transparency, when we share our stories, we free others to share their stories. So so particularly about the nonprofit that I run with sexual abuse survivors, I am committed to being a bold voice, standing in front of professional white men in suits talking about sexual abuse, because that changed the whole course of my life at 7.
Yes.
So
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm giving others courage because I can speak out. I get to be a voice for the voiceless until they can voice it. Yeah.
Yes.
Can I ask a question? Can I slip a question in there, Dr. Sharita? Coach?
What would you say is one?
Oh, let me just real quick. Do you feel like timing impacts when we tell our story? Is timing critical?
I feel like timing is critical, but I've done 13 years of healing through counseling, through different modalities, sound therapy, EMDR, EPT. I mean, I've tried all the modalities you got for counseling. Anybody introduce me to something new, I'm like, let me try that too. Let's see what else comes up, So once you've done a level of healing, it's, you're free. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I can share the stories today without tears. People hear the stories about the twins and they tear up. I don't. I mean, we're 21 years after, and we know you know, we didn't understand it then, but we know now. Number one, we were strong enough to go through it and it not break us. But number two, what quality of life would the twins have had? I probably wouldn't be an author or entrepreneur or anything. I would have been taking care of two physically disabled children for the rest of their lives, pretty much.
Right.
Yeah.
What would you say is one belief that you had to unlearn to become this woman that you are today?
One belief that I had to unlearn. So I had to unlearn that I'm unwanted and unworthy. I was born to a 14-year-old mother. And many people, many family members told me, you know, you were not playing. Of course, she was 14. I slept with my grandmother until I was like 9. So I didn't have my own bedroom. I didn't have my own bed. There wasn't like, I didn't have my own private space, if you will. So it was always kind of like, where do I fit? You know, I didn't get my own bed until I was like 10 years old. And for so long, I spent so many years like trying to fit in instead of stand out, if that makes sense. So getting into entrepreneurship, you know, I had to get over the mindset of, oh, because this client rings my phone, you know, yes, I gotta take the money, I gotta take the client. And it's like, no, you get to choose. Like, it's your business. You get to refuse a client just like they get to refuse you. And learning that when people say no or they quote unquote reject you, it's a redirection and you don't always know what you're being saved from. Because a lot of times we just look at the money, but what's behind the money? All money ain't good money, you know, and some of these people, you know, you might be working on their project 8 years and you like, this was supposed to take 90 days. No. So again, I had to unlearn that I'm not worthy. And now, I mean, I'm constantly programming myself. I am worthy. I'm worthy of love. I'm worthy of what I charge. And I'm probably worthy of more. I just need to get over that confidence curve and take those prices up like we do every year. But yeah, unlearning the unworthiness and unwanted. And then, you know, feeling rejected by, you know, children are cruel. So feeling rejected, feeling like you've been chosen last, just all the things.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So I kind of want to go back a little bit. And I think this would be like our last official question. So around the transparency that you had, and I know you talked about, you know, you doing the work and being healed, so it's easy to share. But I think that it's something that a lot of people, and I will speak for myself in that too, kind of struggle with in terms of telling your story, your real raw story. And telling the whole story, right? Because it might be one thing for you to talk about the sexual abuse as a child, right? Another thing to talk about the affair and the porn and the masturbation,
which is all tied to the sexual abuse.
Right.
Wow.
But I feel like we often struggle with just really being able to tell the whole story, like in all of its ugliness, but also the glory that comes out of it because you're here to tell it. So I'd like, if you can, to just kind of speak to how, because I know that you're in therapy, like you do therapy. That is a way of life for you, right? But when you started to talk and you started to share, 2010, 2000, like during that period when you first started to write your books, like what was it that helped you to really be able to be so honest about what you've experienced and your role in what you've experienced? Because you can talk about a marriage that survived an affair without even saying that you were the one that stepped out, right? Like you could kind of manipulate that a little bit to not make it look like it was you. So I would just really like to dig into how, like, the courage and the bravery and even the confidence, it might not have been like pulled on that word that you had to have, or how you even got it to be able to share the things that you share so publicly and in print that will outlive you, right?
Yeah. And I think God is in the details for me. I don't ever want to paint a picture, particularly when I say me and my husband got over addiction to porn. People automatically go to him. I'm like, no, it was me. Like, I'm just the type. And maybe it's the God in me where I'm literally like, how can he really get the glory if people don't know the whole story? Because we can sugarcoat it, we can put Jesus glitter on it, we can make it cute, we can say, oh, we've survived infidelity. Now that's very general, but people will automatically assume it's the man. So me and him today, we serve in a marriage boot camp where we teach a class on forgiveness, because you either choose to forgive or you don't. And forgiveness doesn't mean that you stay, but he had the choice to stay or go. So I think it's important to tell people the details, because if you just gloss over it and say, well, we survived infidelity, the assumption is, well, the man cheated. Well, what happens when I'm the wife and I cheated? I don't feel like I can relate to anybody, because I'm the only wife right now that I know that speaks publicly about it. But that's because we have a platform through a marriage ministry where we share about the affair. As it relates to the porn and the addiction to the porn and masturbation and all of that, my whole purpose is to set people free. Because when you realize that those things are clogging up the flow of everything that God has for you, the things that you are supposed to do, the things that you're put in the earth to accomplish, the people you're supposed to meet, I know you think you're doing it behind closed doors and it's not harming anybody, but it is. And so for me, it's making the connection of, okay, yeah, what happens in the dark can't stay in the dark, because we've been saying that for years. What happens in this house stays in this house. And that's the name of one of my short films that I'll be producing as well. But again, it's about generational curses and the things that we don't talk about. If we don't talk about it, it keeps writing on the bloodline for years. I'll never forget, I was in counseling and I heard God say the sexual abuse didn't just start with you. This goes back 8 generations. I don't even know my ancestors 8 generations back. It probably goes to slavery. But again, I had never heard that before. I was in the middle of doing EMDR and it just popped up. Like, this didn't just start with you. And most of the time, the sexual abuse, the addiction to porn, all the things didn't start with you. You learned it somewhere. It was passed down. Somebody introduced you to it, and now you're hooked. So it's important to share the details, because I feel like if we just gloss over it, people are going to think, oh, well, if I'm doing this, I'm okay. And she didn't say this, she just said this. They're like, oh, I'm just saying people DM on Facebook. I'm not physically having sex with anybody. You know what I'm saying? So, and for me, an emotional affair is harder to break than a physical affair. Physical affair, you walk away from the person, you good. You know, emotional affair, your heart is tied into it. So I think God is in the details. And I feel like, how can he get the glory if people don't know the full story? Because I hear so many people share their testimony, but like you said, they put Jesus glitter on it. They gloss over it. You know, it's just like, oh yes, I've been delivered from so much. Like, well, what? You know, that ain't helping nobody. So
yeah. Okay, that's good. That's good. Thank you. Yeah. All right. So how can our viewers connect with you? Whether it is to buy a book, get a book published, or attend one of your events. I would like you to mention
Turquoise Sentiers.
Yes, I do want you to mention that.
Okay, so Turquoise Sentiers is actually under my nonprofit arm. Nonprofit is called the Monarch Circle. We help men and women heal from sexual abuse through the use of small groups. Every year we do 2 events. We do a Royal Ball Daddy-Daughter Dance for girls who do not have fathers in their lives. And we ask them to bring like an uncle or brother or something, so they get to experience the Daddy-Daughter Dance. And then we do Turquoise Sentiers, Chucks and Tutus. Turquoise is the color of sexual abuse survivors. And so we do that in 2026, April 19th. So tickets will open December 1st. We've already sold like 50 early bird tickets from the last event because people had the opportunity to buy them at the last event. And so it's here in north of Detroit. So it's in like Shelby Township, Michigan. So I'm probably an hour north of Detroit. But it's a women's empowerment event. We have a panel discussion of sexual abuse survivors mixed with counselors and coaches. We do worship. It's full dinner. It is gifts, giveaways. Every woman gets a turquoise coloring, journaling Bible. So that's our signature gift to every woman. And if other people want to connect with me, so for the Monarch Circle, it's just the monarchcircle.org. And then for publishing, it's So It Is Written, which is the name of the company, soitiswritten.net. And then my personal website is tanishajohnson.com. It looks like Tenita, so tanitajohnson.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. I apologize for the dings. My phone is not my computer. And I think Malika is having some technical difficulties. But yeah, so I want to just ask our viewers if anything that Tanisha shared touches your heart, mind, spirit. You want to support one of her events through the nonprofit, want to buy a book, want to publish, whatever the case may be, that you reach out to her. And just because I feel like if you felt a nudge somewhere, there's a reason for it. So go ahead and make that connection. And of course, Tanisha, I want to thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Yeah. We
always
could have did this as a series.
Yes.
Part one. This is part one.
Part one.
Yes. And whether you are live or watching the replay, thank you as always for joining us. And I'm just trying to get the next, our next episode is on Monday, August 18th. We will be live again here, and we will be talking about the glow up is internal, lessons that changed our lives. So the coaches will be sharing our personal lessons, either lessons that we learned through someone else's wisdom or lessons that we had to live through. And how those things,
there's so much to share.
So be sure to join us.
Not with Jesus sparkle.
Not with Jesus glitter. Jesus glitter.
Oh, Jesus glitter.
I'm gonna write that down.
Yes. So be sure to
no
join
Jesus
us.
Glitter.
No Jesus glitter. Yes, real raw and relevant. With the goal of freeing ourselves and helping others.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yes. So we appreciate you for joining us this evening. And as always, thank you. And we will see you in 2 weeks. And the coaches are out.
The coaches are in. When you need a timely, transparent friend, tune into the coaches are in. Talking career, business, health, and wealth. You've got a friend now into the coaches are in. With authenticity, come on, let's take a seat and tune in.